Morning, mate. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, good, brother. My name's Nev. It's nice to meet you, Brent.
It's nice to meet you too. Thanks for what time is it over there?
6 o'clock in the morning.
Oh my God.
And do you know what this dumb fucking idiot did? It
What'd
was
you do?
I was watching RoboCop 2 until 11 o'clock last night. I was like, I can't stop
Dude.
watching it. I can't stop watching it. I gotta see
Yeah,
it with
yeah, yeah.
Shane's brain out. I'm like, I gotta do it. And I was like, oh, I'm an idiot. But
Well, at least you got to see there's some good Phil Tippett stuff in that one.
yes, good
Yeah,
call. Yeah. It's
yeah,
a
yeah.
man, I love that movie. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. I love that movie.
I know. I'm just about due for a rewatch of one and two, I think. But definitely one.
Man, I'm gonna be walking around today just going, where is Kane? But you know, everyone's gonna go, shut up. But anyway, but
And yeah.
I will say I'm very, very excited that Deathclock are finally coming to Australia. It's as a fan, it's a long time coming, man. It's
Oh,
incredible, dude.
you know what? It's really nice to finally listen. It's so crazy that after all this time that we've kind of built this kind of tr touring infrastructure out so that we can do something like this. So we're really excited. I knew about Australia and Deathclock for a while. In fact, I went there a long time ago to go and promote the DVDs. Like over 10 years ago, maybe 15 years, 13 years ago or so. And so I knew that there was a fan base there. I don't know that about the rest of the world because this is such a domestic show, such a domestic property, Metalocalypse, Deathclock, the Adult Swim. So I was really happy to see that tickets sold well and that people were excited for us coming. I can't wait to bring you the show and to watch you guys watch it because I have the best seat in the house every night.
Well, the Brisbane show, the one I'll be at, that
Yeah.
got upgraded to this venue called the Fortitude Music Hall, which is fucking incredible, dude. Like this venue is unreal. So,
Oh, cool,
man,
cool.
I can't wait to see. There's big chandeliers on the roof and everything. Like they've spent.
Oh,
It's
cool, cool,
it's
cool.
it's smancy. It's pretty. I hate
Yeah.
even a word, but but I mean, yeah, that tour that you can't. Well, that little trip you did. I have
Yeah.
friends. It's like. I have friends that maybe jammed with you in Brisbane, I think.
Yeah, yeah. I did an event where I played with a bunch of local guys who were really cool and really fun. And yeah, it was a crazy experience. I think I was just like exhausted from production and I flew out and I picked up a guitar and played it. And then it was really and I don't remember much else, but it's really but it's going to be great for everyone to see the proper show with with Gene Hoglan and with Neely Brosh and with Pete Griffin, who we've been kind of Deathclock 2.0. And yeah, so it's going to be cool for everyone to see it. The whole thing is really the way I describe it to someone who hasn't seen the proper show is it's kind of like an amusement park ride. To me, here in America, we have Universal Studios, and Universal Studios has like the Terminator 2 ride, and I kind of modeled it off that in my head a little bit. Something that's kind of somewhat interactive with an audience, enough story to hang your hat on, but also lots of fun, lots of comedy, and lots of brutality. And we're playing to picture, so what you'll see is me. You won't even see me really. You'll see kind of a backlit shadow on stage. And we're kind of like, it's if you go to the ballet, but if they put the orchestra on stage in front of the ballet, so you can see who's
Yeah.
generating the music. But the real show is definitely on this gigantic movie theater size screen behind us. So I get people kind of checking us out and wanting to see how we're playing the fast stuff, and but ultimately smiling and looking over my head at a screen behind us.
I'm so keen, dude. It's I've heard how good it is. I've known people who've seen you in the States and they're like, man, you need to see it if it ever comes. So I'm very, very excited. Of course, I mean you've toured with a lot of different bands over the years.
Yeah.
Babymetal seems to be one of the bands that you tour with a lot over the last couple of years.
Well, yeah. Well, what happened was it was post-pandemic. We had Deathclock started kind of becoming a live playing entity kind of right before the pandemic in 2019. And then during the time in 2020, that's when we got the offer to make the movie, to make a new record, for me to make a score, a soundtrack as well. and then to kind of start plotting something. And so we knew that we had been out of the touring loop for a while, but so had Babymetal. So it was between our agents, who I think were roommates at one point. They said, "What about Babymetal as a co-headliner?" And I said, I can't think of any. Let me give me like one evening to think if there's any reason that this wouldn't be the most entertaining show in heavy metal right now. And I couldn't think of any reason why we shouldn't do it. So, of course, we went through with it. We made fast friends with Babymetal, with the girls, with the whole band who are such shredders, with the whole touring entity. They all speak Japanese, and we co-headline across America, and it was really fantastic. So we did about what we did about 2 months worth of touring. Then we came back and did a pickup show the following spring, which was really fun. Then we went out with Dragon Force and Necrogoblicon. But in the past we'd gone out with really cool bands like Mastodon, High on Fire. Very cool bands.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, another thing is Gene Hoglan, you mentioned before, in my opinion, is the greatest metal drummer on the planet. Hands down.
Great.
Man, I think he's incredible. Like Strapping Young Lad are my favorite metal band. So
Yeah,
I'm
yeah. I mean, it's go on. No, go on. I want to hear you. I love
like,
hearing people compliment Gene because I agree completely.
man, he's incredible. I was just gonna say because I mean you are an absolute force together for the past like almost 20 years now. Did you know him or jam with him prior to the show?
No, I knew his pedigree. I knew, Strapping Young Lad. I knew Death and Dark Angel, and it was before his tenure in Testament, but it was really crazy. I was just, when Metalocalypse started, I was just a guy that would go around from show to show and start kind of find my way backstage somehow and start striking up conversations with people like George Corpse Grinder Fisher from Cannibal Corpse to Michael Lamont from Arch Enemy to at some point I started talking to label heads and I said, I've been programming the drums on season one and they sound terrible. I need to learn how to program better. And I'm planning on making a record, so I would rather have real drums and I'd rather have a great drummer who could, help validate this project. So for me, it was like I need all this stuff. And they said, you got to talk to Gene Hoglan. Strapping just kind of finished being a band. So I said, well, do you think he'd do it? And so I got word out to him. I sent him a bunch of little, like 30 little 40-second clips of demos from the show. And I said, I'm going to extend these into longer songs. And I don't think he knew exactly how far we were going to go with, building it out until like basically the idea was how can we make something that kind of feels like even if you don't know what the show is, maybe you would take a listen to this record and maybe find interest in the music. Maybe you don't even know that it's a comedy album. Maybe you think it's a metal album. Whatever it is. We were trying to smear the line between real and fake and comedy and taking something seriously. And that's the fun of the whole project is that I get to kind of take the music seriously while I'm being, while I'm working to make the show funny. So, so what happened was we got together and I think we set up his kit one day, and then I had an opportunity to write a song for the Saw 3 soundtrack, like the European Saw 3 soundtrack. And I wrote a song the night before. I wrote a demo, and the song is called Hatred Copter. And what it's about, I'm not even sure. A pilot of a helicopter who doesn't know how to work the plane, the helicopter. But either way, I committed to it, and we recorded that song in one day, everything, and got the demo out to the Saw 3 soundtrack. And that's why they're singing on that song. There's some kind of like a little bit more melodic vocal on it. And I thought this is going to be a different project. But then I ended up liking it, and so did Gene, and so did Ulrich, our producer. So we put it back on the record. But at the end of day one, we found that we could work together really well, that he had cool suggestions, and I was just very open to hearing his take on something. Just because my normal idea of working with somebody is I come to the table with an idea and I say, hey, you from animators to actors to, storyboard artists to musicians. Here's an idea. Can you beat it with something cooler? That's the challenge. Can you make this cooler? And Gene is always up for discussing it or saying like, I like this part as is. This is a cool groove. It's not something that I would ever come up with. It's definitely a guitar player wrote it, and I'm gonna make it work somehow. And so collaborating with him is always quiet conversations, and then at some point we go, yeah, that's pretty cool. Or we do enough recording where I make a decision later and I sit with the song for, months, hours, just auditioning ideas without anybody else in the room. But that foundational collaboration with Gene is the gift that keeps on giving. And he's an easy guy to work with. I've toured with him for a long time now. He's really a pleasant dude, fun to talk to, super smart, super low key, good sense of humor, all that stuff.
So do you write in a room together now that, the shows?
Oftentimes, no, because look, I'm a producer also, so I'm always trying to measure how much money I'm spending at any given time. And I know if I come to the table with a bunch of work already done, that means I'm spending less studio time. And so I put the challenge on myself each time to craft as much as I can. And then also, this is the great thing about, working in comedy and improv is that just because I wrote something doesn't mean it's the final version. I always think, if the actor or whoever is cast in the part of, in this case, drums, has something that beats the idea or something that's unique, or maybe he doesn't play over that section or something, something like give enough room for something unique and hopefully spontaneous to happen and capture it all. And then in the room, we've cycled some things. So in the past, there's a song called Starved off Deathalbum 3, and I don't think we would have gotten to that conclusion alone without me and Gene like kind of jamming out this outro. And then there are parts where even in some songs where he'll put an accent somewhere else and it really changes the tonality of a piece or a section or something just by pushing, as opposed to laying back, just driving, anticipating something by, an eighth or a 16th note, something, some little thing like that will change the personality of a riff or an idea. So though I do have a guitar in my hand, oftentimes it's particularly like with Deathalbum 4, I'm writing and directing a movie at the same time. So I'm making sure we talk, discuss the idea. And sometimes I don't have a guitar, so I can stand in the window and watch him play and kind of like nod and say yes or no and kind of direct from, through the window. So so there are a lot of different ways we do it. This is it's such a strange project, but music is so easy to be able to prepare for, and to program drums, to have scratch guitars, to rarely do I have vocals, rarely do I have any idea what the content of the song is, except unless it's derived from the TV show. Or in the last record's case, there were two songs for the movie that I had to kind of like had to know what the vocals were, and I had to know how they because we had to animate them at the same time. In fact, they may have already been animated while we were recording the final version.
Oh, well. So,
Yeah, that's a lot of balls in the air. Yeah.
yeah, man, like I've always wondered how you did it because I was like, man, so much detail, so much attention to detail in the show. But with that, is that it for Deathclock, the show? I mean, the movie was incredible. I mean, we got a lot of Deathclock in 2023. It was great.
Yeah, there's a lot, a whole pile of death clock came toppling onto everyone. I never say never, but that movie was the conclusion of the story of Deathclock and this kind of governmental secret tribunal kind of a thing. And it closes the gap on, to me it's kind of a romantic comedy between an audience and its fans. And while the earth is falling apart and being destroyed and everything. But there's always something I would love to, every once in a while I go, that would be really cool to do either a movie like this or a short series like that or something like that. So every once in a while I think about that stuff. And I think the music, if there's ever an opportunity, maybe there's some more music in the future. I'm not sure. I mean, what you guys are going to see is going to be the most exciting thing, I think, because it's a celebration of everything that has to do with the show. And there's something to me that's more powerful in the live thing than TV ever was. And so that's why I'm excited right now to come to Australia and play because it's in a part of my brain, I think it's the most powerful way to kind of experience it all. So that could be where it lives, in a live scenario from now on. So it's the next incarnation, and I'm up for the challenge. It's really fun to play this show. It's a great challenge to do vocals and guitar and harmonize and sweep arpeggios and then improvise as characters and all kinds of stuff. So to me, it's as a performer, it's a really good challenge, and I'm not tired of that at all. It's I'm still trying to wrap my hands around it every single show. It's so devastating.
I mean, the show even now, it found such a strong connection with people. I mean, with me, obviously it came to me at the right time. And my friends as well, like a good friend of mine who passed away a couple of years ago, he he gave me for my birthday many, many years ago a little box with some banana stickers.
Oh, yeah.
And at the time I was like, this is fucking hilarious because we both love
Yeah.
the show. But now little things like that have so much more meaning and the connection to the show is so much deeper for me. And I know that you probably hear those stories all around the world from people. Did you ever imagine that it would have that connection?
You know, first of all, thanks for saying all that nice stuff. That's really great. And the answer is, I don't know if I knew. I had a hunch, basically. And this is kind of how I do anything, is that I have a hunch that something is worth pursuing, and then I try to fill it with a bunch of logic. In the logic that supported me, trying to, conquer this endeavor was that it was that I was when I was 14 or 15 discovering heavy music for the first time and discovering guitar. I just looked on TV and thought there's nothing that represents me and my love for music. I wish there were. If there were, I would take a bullet for that show. I would just be like, and I thought there's got to be, when making the show, I'm kind of not making this for anyone else. I'm kind of making this for me and for people that kind of feel like I do. And the people that now that I go around the country and I go and meet people, I see that that looks very different. It's not always masculine. It's oftentimes, feminine, or both. And and people have kind of taken these characters and turned them into something that I have never even imagined. It does mean something to a lot of people. I'm glad it does. It came from a place of selfishness, which I think good art needs to come from. Is like, how do I need to calm the voices in my head? And in this case, it meant, characters, story, music, comedy, and a fucked up family that is this band.
Love it, man. I love it. And of course, what's next for you? Have you got more, maybe more Galacticon, more
You
Deathclock
know,
records?
I have a project I'm working on right now, and it's a big project. I do these projects, and I never know if they're going to get made. This one is a feature. It's a live action feature. It's very much like something that I think the audience of Metalocalypse may like, but it's a little bit more of a thriller. And it has to do with, it's a heavy metal thriller. That's all I'll say. But inside of that, there's new music and all kinds of stuff. So I'm going to try to get this movie made. And that's the next thing for me. That's where my focus is. So I'm writing it right now. I'm writing the music for it, and you'll hear or see some part of it in some way, sometime in the future. Who knows?
So I got my wallet here somewhere. Do you want me to just throw it at you now? Like,
Yeah.
you had me at metal live
I
action.
know.
Man.
It's funny. Writing. Look, this is part of this whole job is, spending long hours by yourself, either at a computer, typing at my Pro Tools rig, writing, auditioning ideas. But that's kind of the thing. So if I seem insane right now, it's because I've been spending every other moment of the day working this project out. But it's really fun. I love it. I love what I do for a living. It's really fun.
At least you didn't stay up watching RoboCop 2. But I don't
Though
know.
I would not, that's something that if I said that to someone, they would go, yeah, that sounds about right. So I usually watch obscure, uh, you know, obscure horror, whatever genre movies all the time. So it's always an inspiration.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Well, hey, man, thank you so much again for hanging out on the show this early in the morning for me. I loved it.
Yeah.
Had a good time. Sorry if I was a little crazy from the sleep, but brother, we will see you very soon in Brisbane. We'll have all the links down here. Take care, and can't wait to see you.
I'm excited to be there. I'll see you soon. All right.
Take care.
All right. See you later. Bye.